Hi, very good morning. It's Dean from Avstar. Guys, do you mind if I ask a few questions to you and try and give me some feedback in the comments section about what I'm talking about? You know, there's a lot of complacency and it's getting worse. I've got to say that with even professional people. I mean, we could talk about Donald Trump's second attempt assassination, but there's a lot of conspiracy already around that now. And the Secret Service is being very complacent, almost allowing another assassination attempt. If it weren't for that one guy that saw the rifle barrel sticking out the hedge, he probably would have got line of sight on him and shot him dead. But it's not just, professional organisations like the Secret Service, government institutions, government organisations, professional organisations like NOAA, NASA, the ESA. There is a massive complacency across the whole range right now, and that goes right down to, the general public level. I just want to ask a few questions. How can you talk about the geomagnetic pole migrating when you don't have the means to know where it is to start with, other than the information that was published by NOAA in 2015, and then the rest from that point on was just an estimation up to a couple of years after? How can you talk about the migrating pole if you don't have no equipment to monitor where it is? Because if you continue talking about what you do have in your hand, then you're going to just be regurgitating it over and over again for the people. You're not going to be giving them a position on the magnetic North Pole because you don't know. You've got no equipment. Most people that talk about it now don't have any qualifications, and I'll tell you why that's important. Because if ever they're challenged by a professional organisation, what's the first thing that's going to be asked? Are you qualified to talk about this subject? And as soon as they say no, the next thing that's going to be thrown at them by that organisation is, then why should we take your word as the expertise on this matter? And that will be the end of the conversation very quickly. Whereas if you say, I've got qualifications in this field and I have an observatory with equipment monitoring it, then you've got credibility. Way more credibility than somebody that is just relying on the pin marks left over 9 years ago by NOAA. Simple as that. But then again, why would you also listen to somebody talking about CO2 levels if they don't even have a CO2 detector? Or, radiation levels if they don't even have the simplest devices to measure it, which is, affordable for most of us, but I can understand why a lot of us wouldn't want them if they, only occasionally wanted to know whether there was a significant change in the levels of radiation. But for these people that have got dedicated websites even, they've got websites on the magnetic pole, but no equipment, no qualifications, no observatory, nothing. They're just relying on the regurgitated information provided by mainstream organisations. And I want to ask you, after what we have witnessed in the last 5 years, do you trust mainstream agencies and organisations? And should you trust individual members of the public that have chosen for no better reason than just to discuss it because it's a popular topic now? This is what I'm saying. This is just being complacent. In the majority of these times, these organisations and these individuals are just relying on your lack of knowledge in the subject. If you didn't know too much about it, but you had an interest in, say, climate, then why would you expect to be listening to somebody with a load of equipment that was actually monitoring it? And in a lot of these cases, a lot of them don't even have the simplest and the most cheapest weather stations in the back garden. So I ask you, how serious are they about the topic that they're talking about? Is there another motive that is driving them to talk about it. There's another query as well I've got, is why do you think NOAA stopped publishing the results of the magnetic pole position in 2015? What was behind that? And even though these mainstream organisations like NASA, the European Space Agency and NOAA know that there is a vast public interest in knowing where the position of the poles are, why aren't they monitoring it for them? Just simple questions. And the reason why, I ask these simple questions is because if you do value a service like what we provide here at the observatory, then there's a link there. We got a lot of equipment out yesterday for people. We put a link down there in the description, and not one single person chipped in a penny. And do you know, as well as I know full well, that if a service is underfunded to that point, how long can that service continue to go on? We need to start taking our priorities more serious if we're in the business of knowing more about these anomalies that have last been about in human history 12,000 years ago on excursion level scales, and on completed reversal time scales 780,000 years ago. If we are serious about this topic, it should at least be moderately, minimally supported. But to get no support, it's just shameful and shocking. So, if you wake up one day and the website's gone and there's no more reports on YouTube, then you know exactly why that is. And I'll leave it for you to decide what you want to do, because there's 2 days before the magnetic pole positioning is broadcasted on YouTube, and we're just going to see what happens from here on till then. I cannot, as an individual in this subject, believe what is taking place right now. The level of complacency, the level of ignorance, and the neglect to support something of importance for all of us, for humanity. So what I usually do, guys, link down there in the description. As always, bye for now.